Good morning, doctor. How are you doing?
Oh, good morning to you. I'm very excited that it's spooky season because I love spooky season. It is my favorite.
Do you find it interesting to go out and watch people being spooked around? Because, I mean, we've got Scarowinds here, and it's just fascinating to watch people, get really nervous about going to such a Halloween place.
Right? Yeah. Sometimes so in my work, I do keynotes and corporate workshops, but I also do immersive experiences for small groups where part of the experience that I designed for them is to scare them and then give them the neurohacking tools to move through the sensations of fear. So sometimes I do.
When you talk about fear, one of the things that you mentioned inside your book, in fact, chapter 2 starts it off, fearless is a facade. I about fell out of my chair when I started reading this because we're all taught to, you got to be fearless, you got to go, you got to be courageous. And then to hear that fearless and courageous are two, they're intertwined. They're not even opposites.
Yes, fearless is like a total BS bill of sale that we were given. And I'm just so mad about it because we tell people the solution for feeling afraid, even if it's something that is, going to make their life better, is just be fearless or suck it up. Cool. That's the most unhelpful thing ever. How about some actual tools? That's what I would like. And that's what I wanted, and I couldn't find it, so I made it. But the idea that fearlessness even exists is ridiculous. It's nearly biologically impossible. There's been 4 cases since we started studying this, 150 years ago. But for the rest of us, there's not the 4 people in the last 150 years, we naturally feel fear, and it helps keep us alive. It is the reason why I am here, you are here, everyone listening, that we have generations before us that were scared enough that they didn't die before they reproduced.
Right.
So, but we have fear to thank for that, right? But it's a balancing point. And our amygdalas, which is going to be the 2 almond-shaped structures in the brain, that's kind of like the fear center, if you will. That wants to keep us playing small, keep us hiding in our little bed caves, never leaving our house, because to the amygdala, safety is life, right? If you're safe, you stay alive. That's all it cares about. And the amygdala is very binary. It's either on or off, really. And the part of our brain that we really associate with living a life with good stories is going to be our prefrontal cortex. That prefrontal cortex, if you took your hand and you slapped yourself on the forehead,
yeah.
I mean, don't do it too hard, but slap yourself on the forehead, it would be that part of your brain that would be right there.
Wow.
That's the part that is responsible for creativity, innovation, dreams that, as in our waking dreams of what is the life I dream for myself. Well, that goes offline when we're in a fear arousal response. Mm-hmm. When our amygdala is even slightly kicked up, that part of our brain takes a little nap, and we stay playing small and stuck and not living the life that we really want.
Wow. So are we addicted to fear? I mean, because why does my wife and I, why do we always watch scary movies? Because, I mean, if there's a new one on, we're on it.
Ooh, so that's such a good example, because when we watch scary movies in community, so with your wife or friends, or maybe it's a first date for somebody you're trying to make your wife, we actually bond deeply and more quickly than if we were to, let's say, watch a comedy.
Yeah.
We feel like we've been through a journey together when we watch a scary movie. And just one extreme example would be if you had a platoon of soldiers and they come through the war on the other side and they're going to be friends forever, right? They've bonded in a deep way through this journey of being terrified all the time. Something similar, but in a very, very light version, is what happens when we watch scary movies together.
Yeah.
It creates that bonding opportunity.
And it's changed so much. I mean, it's just, it blows me away on how scary movies are now becoming what I call mental movies. They get inside your head because you start believing this really could happen.
Yes. And there's a couple of other things that scary movies do for us, and that's a great point. One is that we can kind of do dress rehearsal for tragedy. I mean, for me, I absolutely have my zombie apocalypse game plan ready to go. Like, I know which windows I'm going to barricade. I know that I want to go in the first wave, though, because I don't want to be 5 years in trying to fight over a Twinkie. So I have my plan, I have my game plan. And that makes us feel safe, though, too, because we feel in control of a world that is uncontrollable. The other piece of it is that it gives us a safe kind of playground to discuss and dissect really difficult topics like death and loss and illness. And we can do it through the lens and through the guise of the film when it's harder to do when we're talking about ourselves.
Yeah. Being a fear scientist, I mean, that's at a completely different level than most of us, because we like to stay away from fear, where you're running into the fires of fear.
Yeah, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like to find ways to play around with these neurohacks. So I try them out for myself, but it's not that, I'm like, okay, everyone, you're going to be able to climb Mount Everest tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I don't want to climb Mount Everest. Like, it's cold. I have no desire to climb Mount Everest. Right? But I do have a desire to reach my goals and to live a life with good stories. And to do that, I need tools.
Isn't that what your book is all about, those tools?
It is. Yes. And some stories that I try and show my misadventures. Like, you'll find stories of me running away from a black bear with a $45 pizza because I refused to give up my $45 pizza. No pizzas or black bears were hurt in this story, so it's a good one. And other stories to kind of just make the kind of educational part fun and enjoyable, because I love books. Books are entertainment, and they should be a fun journey, even if it's going to bring you value and tools.
You're so transparent in this book, where you're being honest. You went into it, and it's almost like you saw us reading it before you even wrote it, because there's so many things in here that we can all relate with, and you put it in a very one-on-one, I'm sitting in the same room with you kind of a way.
That was absolutely my goal. So many people, as a science professor for nearly 20 years now, people come to my classes terrified of just science, of just basic biology, for many, many different reasons. And I want people to feel that this is a conversation, like just like you and I are having. Mm-hmm. Like, my book about fear is not scary. So there's no jump scares. There's no, like severed fingers. It's all meant to be enjoyable and lighthearted. And hopefully there'll be some chapters where you're laughing at me and with me. In addition, right? In addition, comedy is my coping mechanism. And able to walk away with tools that you can use right now, like today, not in 10 years, not in 20 years, and it's not going to be, buy this fancy schmancy gadget or take this magic pill. They're all things that, I want people to be able to have access to, that they can do immediately, and start to play around with these different tools and see which ones work best for your body and your brain.
When we make ourselves afraid, isn't that creating an excuse for not doing something?
Maybe. It kind of depends. I mean, we're masters at procrastination.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Sometimes, especially something's, if something is scary for me, I will clean my house. And not kind of jump out of the closet scary, but the big scary, the internal scary, right? Like the I'm not enough, or I'm an imposter, or that feels too big and too, okay, you know what? I have a deadline next week for all these pages. How about I just clean my baseboards, because that's a more productive use of my time. Okay. Time to clean the fridge again. So we can, right? We can definitely try and dissuade ourselves from one thing that's scary, that's like a internal scary, something that really keeps us up at night at 3 a.m. worrying if we're going to be good enough, or whether we're going to lose control of autonomy, our life, our finances, all these things. Something that was kind of jump scary, like a corn maze or something like that, can distract us because now we're fully focused on not getting, jumped out by the whatever creepy McCreepersons that are happening in that like corn maze. And that's just escapism. We have, for me, one of my escapisms is YA cozy murder mystery books. And so it's just a little scary. Like, it's not too scary that it's going to give me nightmares, but it's kind of like, ooh, gentle scary.
How do you deal with the fears that we're going through even today? Like, we have another hurricane on the way. We have 2 wars that we have no control over. My master in martial arts used to tell me, can you control it? No, move on. And it's like, that wasn't an answer. That didn't help me out with it.
Yeah, right. I know. And that is like a total like hashtag goals. But I'm not there yet. I'm not that zen. So I need tools. And I was actually in the Hurricane Beryl this past summer trying to leave Belize, and I wasn't able to leave Belize. And so I get it. For me, coming back to those neurohacks again and again to help calm the physiological aspects of that amygdala fear response so that you can make better decisions to move forward. Because when we're in a fear response, even if it's really mild, we make really poor decisions. Like our brain cannot operate to make good decisions. And then bad decisions get us into worse spots. Or we can continue to what I call like a fear spiral, right? Something small then gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden everything is wrong and everything is terrible. And it's so easy to get on that kind of like fear train and just let it take you away. And that's why my neurohacks are to help. Okay, nope. Here's some tools that once you start recognizing that your body is starting to get into a fear arousal response, here's the things that are going to be in your toolbox to just nip that immediately in the butt, no matter where you are, just like bloop. And so that you don't get to that, like really extreme space. It's so many times people will have these like really big questions. And part of it is the world will always have strife. The world will always have challenge. That's just part of being alive, and focusing on what you can change and picking the things that you are really passionate and motivated about to make the world a little bit better place. I mean, that's all what we can do, right? We can't influence everything. It's just impossible.
Yeah. Where can people go to find out more about you? And you mentioned something about a podcast mic. That tells me that you probably have a podcast as well.
Oh, I don't, but I do media. So I don't do my own podcast, but I go on podcasts, and I always want to make sure that the people on the other end are getting their best quality production from me. But I do, like I said, like I do keynotes, and I do workshops and live events, and I make media. So they can find out about the book Brave New You either by going to hellobravenewYou.com. And it's also sold everywhere from Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and of course our favorite indie bookstores all across the country. But if people go to hellobravenewYou.com, because my last name is horrendous to spell, so I'm not going to force anyone into that. So, I mean, like, I know it. But what you're going to do, right? But hellobravenewYou.com, and you'll be able to get my favorite neurohacks as downloadable cards, and I made some videos along with them, totally free, no sign in, no sign up, just my gift to your audience. So if they want to go there and download that, I would love to, start their neurohacking journey as soon as possible. Otherwise, they'll be able to see the hyperlinks to all of the major outlets, including, I forgot my favorite, Audible. So I also narrate the audiobook as well, and that's available at Audible, but also all audio book retailers.
Wow. I love where your heart is. 10 minutes with you is not enough, and I hope that we can get together many times in the future because I love where you're growing with this. There's a lot of fear in the world, and I really want to have more conversations with you.
I would love that.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay, Doctor?
Thanks, you as well.